What's good? Welcome back to Inside the Green Room. I'm Harrison Sanford, joined by three-time NBA champion, Danny Green. And I want to, Danny, just today discuss a number of title contenders. And I obviously want to talk about a team that might no longer be a title contender, considering everything that's happened with your former team and Ja Morant over the past weekend. But let's start with what happened on Monday night at Rocket Mortgage Arena, or Monday night. Let's start with what happened Monday night in Cleveland, where Grant Williams at the end of the game had a chance to seal the deal and told your homie, your friend, your teammate, Donovan Mitchell, that he wasn't just not going to make one free throw to seal the game. He was going to make both. Ended up missing both. Game goes to overtime. Cleveland Cavaliers win 118-114. What has been your impression so far being with Mr. Donovan Mitchell and the Cavaliers and their ability to always keep fighting? You guys lost in Boston not too long ago, but there was a fight that was applied to the end of the game, and I think we just saw it again here Monday night, resulting in a win.
Yeah, well, since I've gotten here, they've shown the firepower that they're able to produce in a short amount of time. Even when the first game in Philly, we were down 20 plus and came back and made it a game by the fourth quarter. You know, same in Boston, same in other scenarios that we've had. We've been down. In Atlanta, we came back a little bit, but there's been scenarios we've been in a hole and they've been able to come back. So yeah, Donovan is very explosive, obviously very good player. So is Darius. Evan has shown very good signs of a lot of potential. But yes, Monday night was a fun one. It was a lot of fun watching, being on the sideline. Obviously you want to be in that type of scenario, you want to be playing. But I'm still, I guess, figuring out what's going on and seeing how the coaching staff, they're figuring out their rotations, and I guess still learning the system and the offense and the defense. So we'll see how that goes within the next few weeks. But yeah, from the sideline, from a fan standpoint and from a team or teammate standpoint, I like what we can bring to the table. I do think that our weaknesses are at times we don't score enough. We have trouble scoring, especially in the half court some. So even though we're not a team that can get up and down with a bunch of teams, I think we have to slow fast, run when we can on offense, but defensively try to slow it down on the other end. I think the biggest difference is obviously shooting wise, the games that we have lost was the perimeter 3-point line. We lost the 3-point line, the 3-point game. But a big key tonight was rebounding. I started to notice over the last couple of games, we've struggled rebounding the ball, defensively and offensively. That's why they got so many opportunities. Boston, they've gotten some putbacks, tip-ins, second chances. End of that game, there was a lot of foul calls for the game where we could have won back and forth, but there were a lot of calls that could have went either way, and that gave both teams opportunity. Lucky for us, Grant smoked them, but he had opportunity to win the game.
I saw your sideline celebration, by the way.
Oh, everybody had the same celebration. It ain't no different, but and the way he walked up to that free throw line, he was very confident. So I thought for sure he was going to make at least one. He said, "I'm making both." Because before he talked to Donovan, you could see him. I'm like, "Come on, just give us one, make it interesting." You know what I'm saying? And he's like, "I'm making both." And then he kept saying, "I'm making both." I'm like, "Damn, he might make." He missed that first one. I was like, "Oh, a little bit of doubt starting to creep in." I'm like, "All right, there's no way he's missing two." Smoked the second one. Crazy thing is, even after he smoked both free throws, they had 2 tip-in attempts with 0.8 seconds.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what's going on with our clock, but it was 0.8 seconds to go, and they got 2 tip-in attempts. There was one tip and another tip, and then they missed both, and they called it into overtime. So we lucked out. We
clock not moving fast enough, huh?
Yeah, we always wait till second half to turn it on. We have to start with a sense of urgency from the beginning of the game. But I think if we're going to give ourselves a chance, especially if we're not shooting that well, when we know we're capable of, or having great shooting nights, we have to rebound the ball. We have to play defense. We have to slow teams down and get back in transition. And then on offense, we got to find ways to get easy ones because we don't have the bench scoring that I thought we could have. We got to get Vert a little bit more involved or getting some scoring from him. Him and Evan, I think, are the 2 X factors that we need. Obviously, Darius and Donovan have to put up numbers every night, but we need some scoring from somewhere else. So Jared, Evan, and Vert, those guys are going to have to put up, some numbers to keep us, afloat. And obviously, we're going to 2, 4, 6, whatever from everybody else that plays in those roles or those minutes. we're going to need that. But defensively, we got to do a better job of rebounding, finishing out the defense, and be able to run a little bit so we get some easy ones.
Yeah, for sure. Right now, you guys are bottom 5 in pace in the NBA. Definitely going to be difficult to score without a better pace, because you are putting yourself in a situation where you got to operate in the half court and without having, especially in this NBA, not having shooting at least 4 positions will definitely hurt your spacing. And it leads me to believe, and I'm finding so many parallels between your time in Memphis and your time in Cleveland. Both teams really good defensively. Both teams, when you decide to run, can do it really well. Grizzlies, at least going into the weekend, this past weekend, number 2 in the NBA in fast break points, 17.7. I'm not sure where the Cavs rank, but similar teams, strong defensively, got some explosive scoring guards.
They had
It's pretty
explosive
much
quarter
the same thing.
other night. They had a 51-point quarter other night. They're explosive. They're both very young, lacking some experience. So yeah, there's very similar traits with both groups. Hopefully I can be, put in a certain situation to help with Donovan and Darius with spacing, and also give them some maturity and that experience. But when you have guys that are out there and they're able to pack the paint, Evan and Jared, and then of course Isaac, who's still, a decent shooter. They're working on it. He shoots it pretty well, but not well enough for them to not shift off him. And we got Lamar who comes in and Jetty comes in. So they're decent shooters, but you said we're going to need some space for them, and hopefully, and if not, depending on what the coach staff does, we got to find ways to defensively really stop teams if we're not, getting the space or scoring the way we need to.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see how that kind of develops. And I go back to your time with Memphis, because you said from the outset, the X factor is Jaren Jackson Jr. And how he performs to kind of give somebody else a release valve offensively. And obviously we know how good he is defensively. Do you feel this? I assume you feel the same way with Evan Mobley. Like the Cavaliers' ceiling is pretty much defined by how much Evan Mobley develops over the next 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years.
100%. I think, hopefully he can. Usually you try to grow within those first 3 to 4 years, because most guys' games don't change after year 6 or 7. You know what I'm saying? So, hopefully he can grow, get established, get comfort, get some experience, but get that bag that he needs to have to be that X factor, to somebody that can carry a team. He has all-star potential, but to be that all-star in the next 2 or 3 years, where he can bring this organization to another level. Speaking of X factors, I know I said Jaren is the X factor for that group over there, but they just lost somebody I think that is going to really hurt them, and I think that's going to cost them being a contender this year.
We'll talk about the Grizzlies a little bit. We have a whole thing on Memphis, but I know. Brandon Clarke for sure is definitely going to be an X factor. I prefer to save that for the second half, because we have a wealth of conversations to have about the Grizzlies. With that being said, though, I did say I want to talk about contenders, and while the Cavaliers have been a good team so far this year, I think there's going to be a lot of skepticism on how the team performs in the playoffs, particularly with the lack of shooting right now with the guys who are getting minutes, and we kind of know how the playoff defenses are going to kind of treat you guys as a team.
For sure.
But you did see the Boston Celtics, who have, for the majority of the year, been one of the best teams in the NBA, if not been the best. But Danny, you know what I do for a living now. I'm analyzing stats on stats on stats on stats. I have way too many stats in my head. And the one thing that's become very popular to talk about, not just with me, but with like a lot of Boston media, is how many threes the Celtics are willing to shoot. Number 2 in the NBA, around 42 threes per game. Today, they went ahead and put up 48, shooting 16 of 48. And Joe Mazzulla is pretty much on record saying he wants them to shoot that many threes. It's basically saying it's a numbers game. The more threes they take, the better. But that allows for teams to come.
It's like old Houston back in the day, right?
Yep. But that allows teams to come back into games. The Knicks beat them in double overtime on Sunday night. You guys just came back and beat them on Monday. I think, and Jason Tatum, I believe, is averaging over 9.5 threes or something like that. I'm starting to think to myself, okay, it's getting a little bit too ridiculous now. When you got somebody like Jason Tatum at 6'10", it's one thing if it's, and obviously Donovan Mitchell's a great player, but at his size, I understand if he ends up taking 10 threes a game.
Yeah.
But when you're Tatum, and you're shooting that many threes, or as a team, you're just shooting that many threes. I've been watching the Celtics because they recently played the Knicks twice, and they just played you guys. They give so many opportunities to get back into the game because of their willingness to continuously launch threes, even if they're good shots.
I don't know, man.
Thoughts?
I have to disagree. I said I don't think they're bad threes, and 48 is not bad. I don't think they're shooting. It's a high number, but I think it's a fairly good number, especially when Tatum's out. I think they're averaging like 50 attempts from three, or they had 50 attempts from three when he's not playing. 48, I think it's just the defensive side of it. You know, and Jason Tatum, even though he's getting 9 attempts a game, he's still getting to the free throw line. He's still getting twos. He's still giving you a diversity of buckets out there, not just all threes. So I said I don't think he's 6'10". He keeps growing every year. It was about 6'8", 6'9", but he's a tall guard. He can get to the rim. He does post up. He does get free throws. He does give you mid range. But you know, that's the game today. And if you're gonna get open looks, you got to take them. Especially if they shoot. Most of those guys shoot at a high clip. Al Horford shoots at a high clip. Grant Williams shoots at a high clip. Even Marcus Smart's gotten better. Pritchard shoots at a high clip. Hauser shoots at a high clip. Jalen and Jason Brogdon, high clip. They're all very capable, good shooters. So if you have open shots, why not take them? The biggest thing is the reason why they let teams back in the game is because defensively, I think they might do too much switching. Maybe, I don't know. But I think defensively, they're not getting the stops that they need to get, which they normally get. They had, or in the past or last year. And maybe it's they're just getting out of, you know, maybe they're burnt out. Maybe they're getting tired. Maybe it's fatigue. But as a team with that type of experience and has been there last year or last couple of years have been in the playoffs, you would think they would find ways, you know, when you have a lead like that against certain teams to keep the lead and not shoot themselves out of it, as you would say.
Yeah, no, it's just quite surprising to see them give up these leads. And I personally think that maybe the shot profile should be a little bit different, but what do I know? I haven't won an NBA.
I mean, if you have layups, you take a layups, but
like yeah,
the game is layups and threes. I mean, Jalen and Jason take mid ranges. You see, Jalen took a bunch of mid range tonight, but those are the ones that are not going to really beat you.
Yeah, I mean, I've just seen Tatum, especially recently, miss a lot of threes that didn't feel like they need to be taken, but that's another story for another day. We'll continue to investigate the Celtics. I'm sure they'll be around when it matters towards playoff time. Speaking of which, so you guys, I don't know if you know this or not, or at least going into the weekend, you have the easiest strength of schedule left in the NBA.
Okay.
As of going into the weekend, at least. The Philadelphia 76ers have the second hardest schedule. This is before the weekend, before they played Milwaukee.
Who's the first?
I've been telling people in my circles or in my little, hey, guys, maybe the Cavs might get the number 3 seed. Just watch out for them. They got an easy schedule. Sixers have a tough schedule. Mm-hmm. But I'm looking at what Joel Embiid and James Harden and Tyrese Maxey did Saturday, and I'm saying to myself, well, maybe the Cavaliers just won't catch them at all. Well, has that been a conversation by any chance, getting the number 3 seed? How do you think you guys shape up in terms of trying to get that from the Philadelphia 76ers? I believe you guys are 2.5 games behind.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know we were that close, but it was a conversation. It is a conversation. And I think the biggest conversation the focus is us. It's focusing on us and not getting satisfied or lackadaisical and continue to be the hunter instead of the hunted. And that's continue to strive for more and catch the people in front of us and not worry about the people behind us, right? And that's just a mindset you should have when you're trying to go into the playoffs, when you don't have playoff experience. And the best way to prepare for playoffs is to take every one of these games like a playoff-like game. We do have, it's an easy schedule because I think the days in between, we have a lot of space in between, not many back-to-backs. But it's because of the strength. It's because the winning record of your opponents. For sure, that too. I was going into both of those, but we do have some teams that are good teams for us to get prepared for. We do play Miami. We do play Brooklyn. These are teams that we could match up. We do play the Knicks. We do play Atlanta. These are teams that we can look at and say, you know what, we might end up catching or facing one of these guys at some point soon. But these are teams that are playoff-like teams that we can use these games to get prepared for the playoffs. So, I expect us to continue to have that mentality and not be satisfied where we are, but continue to try to, move forward. And I think we can. I think it's a possibility if we just worry about us. But I think the focus is not, all right, standings. We know we're in the playoffs right now. We just want to get better each game, each day, and be playing the best basketball we can possibly play when mid-April hits.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to where you guys are in April, regardless of the seeding. But I will say this before we end up talking about Ja Morant and the Memphis Grizzlies and a little bit more in depth. I will say this: you are setting up for probably the first doomsday scenario in your playing career.
Listening,
you know what I'm referring to?
I don't.
This might be the first time in your career as a New York native that you are going to play the New York Knicks in the playoffs. I'd imagine you got a couple of homies who are Knicks fans or cheer for the Knicks because they're from New York, want to see them be successful.
Of course.
XYZ, XYZ. And now there's a strong possibility that you're going against the hometown team. And obviously that would be hometown team for Donovan Mitchell too, who we know the rumors were that the Knicks had a chance to get him this summer, but opted against it, which I think was the right decision at the time. But nonetheless, Danny, what are your thoughts on potentially?
It's not the first time. I mean, they're playing, they're hooping, they're balling, bro. So I have to give them where credit is due, give them their props. The Knicks are hooping, they're playing really good basketball. It's gonna be a tough matchup for anybody who plays them in the first round, the way they're playing basketball. But yeah, it's not the first time that I've had a matchup in the playoffs where the homies was rooting against me. I played against Miami in the finals, and there's a lot of Bron fans out there, and a lot of them are all over the world, not just in New York, of course, not just in Texas or not just in Miami.
Different. I would have rooted against. I would have rooted against LeBron. It's one thing if a person, they can't be rooting for another person over you.
Some of them are Miami.
They're your homies.
They're the homies.
That's crazy.
Listen.
No. You got to think of that. You got to choose sides.
Bron is a home team for them, so it's not the first time that I've been in a playoff series against a team that was home team for them. I mean, I have some people that are from Philly. I played against Philly when I was in Toronto. East Conference teams. There's been teams where I played against that some of the homies are from that city. Obviously, they're rooting for me, but they're home deep down. Their team or their person is somebody else. So it won't be the first time. But obviously, New York, yes, it's a different level of them growing up being a Knicks fan. So it'll be interesting. It'll be fun. All I can do is hope that I get a chance to have opportunity to play in that series and have fun with it. But we don't know. We'll never know. We'll see how it shapes up. I think the East is going to be interesting. The West is going to be more interesting, just to see how that all pans out with the last 5 to 10 games, to see who lands where and who's going to match up with who. Because I think that's going to be a hell of a first round series for everybody over there. But the East just as interesting. So this is the first time where I feel like the league is not that crazily top heavy. It's evenly balanced and a lot of teams can sneak in there.
I hate to say it. I still think it is top. I think there's only Danny. I think there's
in
only
the
three
West?
teams I think there's only three. I think there's only 2 teams in the West that are going to win a championship.
You really think that nobody?
It's the Suns or the Warriors. That's it.
Any team could. No, I don't think the Warriors.
Any team could win 2 rounds, but the stability, the experience, the talent to win 3 rounds.
You really have to worry about that.
It's the Suns or the Warriors. Wait till they get Wiggins back. I'm telling you, wait till they get Wiggins back.
He's had a troubled year. He's had a troubled year.
He's had a troubled year, for sure.
All it takes is one injury once again. Man, listen, Milwaukee hasn't been healthy all year. Boston, in and out. But those are 2 teams but I think it's a lot of teams can sneak into the conference finals. Like that's what I'm trying to say. Like any team
sneak to the conference. Yeah, you can get to the conference finals, but the finals is a different monster. Different monster, in my opinion. I think we could talk about it for days.
We can, but there's not every team's going to stay healthy, and I think anybody is wide open this year
for sure.
A lot of teams have a chance.
A lot of teams have a chance to win 1 round. That's how I see it.
I think a lot. I think there's more than just 4 teams that can make it to the finals.
I got the Bucks. I got the Warriors, I got the Suns, and maybe the Celtics. I think that's it. I think it shuts off there, but we'll discuss that for another moment, at another time. One team I do not believe will be there is Danny's former team, the Memphis Grizzlies. We'll talk about Ja Morant and his time away from the team and everything revolving around Danny's former team when we come back from the break. Welcome back to Inside the Green Room. Danny Green, Harrison Sanford. Much to discuss and not the most pleasant of topics over this weekend. Ja Morant, it was announced that he'll be taking time away from the Memphis Grizzlies, at least 2 games. And this happened after he was caught, well, not caught, exposed himself, brandishing a gun on IG Live. We into Saturday morning. This comes on the heels of a loss to the Denver Nuggets, where they lost the lead in that fourth quarter. Brandon Clarke got injured in that game, torn Achilles, out for the season. We will discuss that. Also, Dylan Brooks picked up his 16th technical foul, which means he was suspended for their Sunday game against the LA Clippers. We'll discuss that as well. But Chief, among the issues for the Memphis Grizzlies is one, Ja Morant, and now the time that he's taken away from the team. On Monday, we found out that the Colorado police are investigating Morant because they do have some rules and regulations as it pertains to gun ownership or usage in their jurisdiction. Now, Colorado is an open carry state. However, you are not allowed to be in possession of a firearm under the influence. Now, we can't confirm if Ja Morant was drunk or not, but his actions on that Saturday IG Live would lead you to believe that he was. So I don't think we are far from done with this Ja Morant issue with the Memphis Grizzlies, and obviously that impacts them in the immediate future. Danny, I feel like I have a wealth of questions to ask you. But first and foremost, when you saw the news come down, I'm curious because you spent time in Memphis and you saw what was going on. You have a better idea than most. One, did you feel as if you could have done more before it got to this point? Even though it's not a terrible point, it could have been a lot worse. Did you feel that your time in Memphis, you should have said, done more, or anything as it pertains to Ja Morant?
Yes and no. It was such a short stint, man. I wish I would have gotten a chance to have more sit downs with him. There wasn't a bunch of opportunities. There were some, but he has his camp around him. He has his people around him. He has his family. And, those are people he probably decides to confide in and, have personal conversations with. So, yeah, I mean, would I have liked to have more time with him? Sure. He's a great kid. I know he's a great kid at heart, loves the game, loves to compete, watches film, wants to be great, and just enjoys the competitive nature of playing basketball. I do think he just also likes to have fun. He likes to enjoy his life, which is nothing wrong with that. It's just, doing it in a particular way, in a safe way, where I'm actually glad that this has happened now. I think a lot of people have something to say. Everybody's giving lectures, their piece of advice, their woulda, coulda, shouldas, or their history, their stories. I think a lot of people had some great things to say. And I'm not here to lecture them. I'm just here to give a ear, a helping hand, and I will give him some time. I'll text him. But if, he ever sees this or hears this, if you ever need me, you know where to find me. You hit my line, we can chop it up. Obviously, we all know he knows that he was in the wrong and this was a mistake. But said, luckily, nobody was harmed, nobody was hurt from it. And he can learn from that mistake now and, could turn it around. But yeah, I wish I had a little more time with him. It would have been good to be able to get to know him a little better, to sit down with him more and see where his head's at. Because I know he carries a lot of weight. And, it's a lot of not just him and the team, but the people around him of who he has to try to keep happy or he wants to keep happy. So, and that's a lot for a youngster to carry in this league. You become the head of the household so soon, make a lot of money, and you're there to protect, provide for not just your family, but now your friends and everybody around you. So I know he's carrying a lot of weight on his shoulders. So yeah, I definitely wish I would had more time to be able to chop it up with him.
In his address after getting or declaring that he would take time away from the team, he said he would address or use the time to better figure out how to help deal with stress. And Taylor Jenkins, the head coach, has said that they will use some efforts or make the effort to get Ja the help that he needs, but not necessarily specifying what exactly that help is, whether that's talking to a series of former players, whether that's going to counseling sessions, whether that's just time literally away from the team. Danny, if you were, let's just say you were running the Grizzlies, right? Let's put on your media analyst cap here. You're the GM of the Memphis Grizzlies. How are you making sure that Ja Morant gets on the right path? What Give me your if you had a 3-step plan before you felt confident making him or proclaiming him to be the face of the franchise again, what would you need to see?
That's tough, man, because as grown men, it's hard to control. Not that you want to control, you want to at least know that you have somewhat of control over your players and how they're operating on and off the court, mostly off the court as well. But they do have the resources there. They do have somebody you can talk to there. You want to have that open door. Maybe it's not somebody's comfortable with talking to. So I want to make sure that we have, obviously they have a bunch of security too. That I feel like Memphis has done an amazing job organizationally of providing all the resources that you need without kind of forcing it on you. I guess the next step now is him. You can't fight it now. I guess you got to force it on him a little bit more, and he has to accept it a little more because of some of the things that he's done, the mistakes that he's made. So yeah, I don't want to put myself in running the organization or how it's hard to, to put yourself in those shoes of what you're going to do. I've never run an organization before, so I don't know how to do that. Mind you, I'm not the type of guy to try to control grown men. I've never even coached them, and that's something that I don't plan on doing because I know it's tough to manage egos. But when you're a GM or a coach or, an owner, there's some, precautions you have to take when you're bringing certain people on board or hiring them or giving out these contracts. So when you're trying to protect these type of deals, these type of players, these type of partners that you have, there's certain I guess steps you have to take. So I would love to learn them, but I would think that they're probably gonna be a little more forceful with, kind of being a little controlling of the situation of who he is allowed in the arena, who he brings around him, his groups, that type of thing. I mean, you can't really tell him who he can and can't be friends with. But I'm sure they already had banned one of his friends from the arena. I'm sure they're going to limit, family room or this or, break breads or who you can bring and on the road of how much you're doing this and that. They're going to try their best to, but these are grown men out there. You can't really limit them. You can't really tell them what to do. You can only offer it and watch. And I'm sure they're going to keep an even closer eye on him, which I'm sure they were already close on him. But since this has happened now, they're going to even, be more tight to the chest and more on top of him.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've seen so many different people comment on it, and one thing I do hate is people also telling him he needs to hang with a different crowd. And obviously, if the crowd that he was with helped him or guided him a little bit better, maybe he wouldn't be doing the same thing. But Danny, as somebody who's known a wealth of people from different backgrounds, and I'm not going to sit here and I can't say for certain that it's Ja Morant's people that are the quote unquote bad people or the people that are leading towards whatever decisions Ja is making. Now I can say they're not helping, but exactly. I don't know. At the end of the day, let's keep it a bean. Ja, whether he likes it or not, is a grown ass man. And
he's gonna make his decisions.
And while people are saying, well, it's your circle, and maybe, you could always tighten up your circle if you'd like. But at the end of the day, these are Ja's decisions. I think it was somebody, there's been so much commentary on it, but basically somebody said, you are the one, you create the vibe now because you're the one with the money. You create the vibe and you create the initiative, whatever your crew is doing. If you wanted to be a billionaire, then you help your boys or your crew or wherever it is, kind of get into investing or wherever it might be. It doesn't necessarily mean just because you have money or just because your friends want to do a certain type of thing, you just shut it down. Because
for sure, 100%. They may not be helping. I said I can't fully put it on them, but I think most people, when they say that, they're saying surround yourself with people that are gonna make sure you're doing the right thing. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of them are just enjoying life and living vicariously, which is nothing wrong with that. But I think now they're going to tighten up as well. They're looking at them like, the internet, the people, the media, they're all blaming us. So we got to make sure Ja's on his P's and Q's. So I think this is said, it's obviously it's bad that this happened, but it's a good thing it's happened now. And I think for all cases, all categories, everybody around him is going to be able to look at themselves in the mirror and be like, all right, I got to do better to make sure that he's good or he's better. So I think hopefully his outcome will be good in a sense that everybody tightens up and that he doesn't make these mistakes again. So we'll see, man. If not, then it's going to be a sad story, but we all pushing and supporting and hoping for that not to happen. But we're all rooting for him. We want to see him do well. So we expect him, the organization, and his group to tighten up and to get him on the right path.
Yeah, and I'll go back to just your time there. So there was another report today, I believe from Shams Charania. This was a Monday report that basically detailed that Steven Adams told the team that they shouldn't go out partying. And it turned out that Ja Morant ended up partying that night, ended up going to that Denver or Colorado, outside of Denver area, kind of strip club or gentleman's club, as they would call it, and was partying there, was seen there. I'm curious, Danny. One, did you feel like, when you were there, did you feel like I need a couple other guys my age here too?
Yes.
One vet or two
Yes.
vets is not enough.
Definitely. I felt like, I definitely felt like we need another vet or two to help push the narrative of, or just help them understand the maturity part of it. And it wasn't, I'm not going to put them all in the same category. They're not all the same. They're all different types but they're all great kids. They're all great guys. So some of them have families, some of them stay at home. A lot of them stay home. They're focused. They want to win. They want to hoop. They compete. They take care of their bodies. Ja just happens to be a little different. He likes to party sometimes. I'm not saying he's the only one, but he's one of the few over there. It's not like they're all going out. There's a couple of them that go out, and he goes out sometimes. And I think that's a big part of having your circle around you that want to live, vicariously through you. So he has to host. He has to, create the vibe. So I think it's a big part of that, people pleasing as well. But yeah, a good part of that group over there, they're pretty locked in and focused. Now they may talk a little trash, which a lot of the world does not like, because they haven't won anything yet. But that's just who they are. They embrace it. They talk trash. They have fun. They listen to music loud. They have a good energy, and they hoop, and they love to compete. Now the fact that they have so many distractions off the court, it doesn't help. So, a lot of people looking like, you guys need to change your ways. And I mess with it. I think it's cool. This is who you guys are. This is who you want to be. Why change for anybody else? Be who you are. Certain things definitely need to tighten up, but all in all, I think they're all, well-grounded, good kids that understand, life, the game, and how to do things the right way. And there's nothing wrong with them having fun. Now, I'm not going to say like, people are pointing fingers, and not just the group, but the teammates. I'm sure a lot of them have tried to talk to 12 as well, and, get them under their shoulder. But it's they're all grown men. They all do different things. Some guys value, different things more than others. Some of them value the kid or like to stay at home and be with the kids. Some guys like to go out. Some guys like to gamble. You never know what it is, but you can't make somebody do something or be something that they're not.
Yeah, no, I think it's very tricky, because you don't want to overestimate the value of a veteran voice, right? But at the same time, you don't want to underestimate the value of it. And I did find that interesting that you were the only one, you and Steven Adams were only guys there for a team that had such high expectations. I understand from a roster building standpoint, you want as much young talent as possible, but
for sure,
I guess when you have a team that could be dealing with maturity issues, I think you got to try and find a better balance. And I don't know if that's the thing. Yeah, as you said, I don't know if anybody could have stopped Ja's path that he was on.
No, that was gonna, I think, that was gonna happen eventually. But I'm glad it's sooner than later, and that, nothing major has happened where anybody was hurt or harmed in the situation. So it's something that he can learn from quickly, early, and turn it around and continue to live his life as a great basketball player and be an NBA All-Star pro, to where everybody looks up to him and wants to see him win.
Yeah, no, it's going to be very interesting to see how this case again kind of continues to develop, because when the news came out, it was at least 2 games, and Taylor Jenkins has said that there is no timetable for his return. We don't know exactly what type of help Ja Morant is going to get. We don't know how the Colorado police are going to react to this story. We don't know how the NBA is going to react to the story, because the punishment that was handed down, the quote unquote punishment at least, came from the Memphis Grizzlies, not from the league officially. And if the Colorado police have a beef, I'm sure the NBA will too. So far from done there. And it does make me very concerned for the immediate future of the Memphis Grizzlies, not just because of Ja Morant, and not just because now I think it's every 2 technicals that Dylan Brooks gets results in a suspension, which is obviously not a good thing. But a bigger concern, or another concern, is Brandon Clarke, torn Achilles, out for the season. Danny, you spent half the season in Memphis. What does that mean for the Grizzlies?
That's a blow. That's the biggest. I think that's the most important one that everybody's kind of not really talking about. Obviously, everybody's talking about Ja. He's a superstar there. He can carry a team. But, I talk about Jaren being the X factor. But realistically, for them to win playoff series and to make it to the finals or Western Conference Finals, they're going to need their X factors that are off the bench. And that's Tyus and BC. And BC damn near is a double-double off the bench for you. You need that energy. And without him, I don't see them making it there. I don't see them winning without him. He's a big factor, a big piece of the puzzle, what they do. They need his energy. They need his rebounding. They need, just what he brings to the table. His floaters and that bench scoring. So that he damn near a double-double off the bench. So without him, you're lacking. Now you're going to need, Santi's going to have to pick it up. Santi Aldama is going to be the next in line guy. You need Steven Adams back. Hopefully they stay healthy, but they do have some talent and they do have some depth, but without him, that changes a lot of things. And that's going to be tough to win without him. I think that's the biggest blow for them right now is losing Brandon Clarke. So big shout out to him. Prayers up for you, man. Big BC. Wishing you a speedy recovery, man, and that your surgery goes well. It's a tough thing. I know what it's like going through that. So, just want to give him some love and support and know that we're thinking of him. But that's a tough blow for him. It's a tough blow for, the city of Memphis and the organization.
Yeah, no, it's the connection that he had with Ja there in the paint, his ability to rim run. Obviously, the Grizzlies, one of the strengths of their team is their ability to rebound, and obviously you're losing a big rebounder there. I think conversely, it also hurts because we know how much Jaren can struggle with his foul trouble. So now that only gets elevated come towards the playoffs. So I don't think we're writing off the Memphis Grizzlies as a team that can win a championship this year, but I think it's fair to say we think it is unlikely to happen. Before we get out of here, since we've been talking about contenders all show, we've talked about we talked about the Celtics, we talked about the Cavs, we talked about a little bit about the Warriors. I guess we did, I think. But I also want to talk about another team we talked about the Knicks. I want to talk about another team that I do not think is a contender anymore, Danny, and then we'll go home. Okay. I think you will disagree with me, but I feel strongly about this. I, for the life of me, cannot understand the LA Clippers were playing so well, finally trending upwards. Kawhi Leonard finally looking like Kawhi Leonard, looking very similar to the one who made the 2019 run with the Raptors team, which you were a teammate with. You were a teammate with him during that run. I felt that they were on their way back. Norm Powell was looking like a 6th man of the year. Trade deadline hits. Oh snap! You picked up Bones Highland. Not a bad look. Oh, you picked up Eric Gordon, a stretch 3-point shooter.
Plumlee.
That's a good look. Oh. Now you don't have to go small if you don't play Zubac, or if Zubac gets in foul trouble, or he's having a bad game, because you also picked up Mason Plumlee, who could also be a big man for you. So now you can play small, you can play big, you have shooting, you have experience, you have a two-way star in Kawhi Leonard who's healthy, you have a championship level head coach, and then you get Russell Westbrook. And you don't just get Russell Westbrook in the buyout market, and you don't just, all right, he's going to run the second unit to make sure we got pace, or he's going to be out here, first unit, but he's really just doing that to make sure we start games with intensity, because this year the Clippers have been a terrible first quarter team. I would know from my betting losses. But even still, you put Russell Westbrook out there, and you make him a starter, playing over 30 minutes. When you saw what happened with him just across the hall, Westbrook is a fine player. He could do fine things. But to totally gut the way your team operates, because we know how perplexing and how you have to change the whole flow of your team when you decide to put a non-shooter on the court, such as Russell Westbrook. I just, for the life of me, cannot understand why the Clippers would do this from the start. It's one thing to say, well, he's really killing it off the bench. Let's see what he's doing as a starter. No, out the gate with the team that was playing well, you start giving Westbrook starter minutes, and I can't understand it. And it's so frustrating to me because, again, Dave, I'm not even a Clipper fan. I'm not even a Laker fan. I just like basketball played to a high IQ level.
The right way, huh?
And I want teams to play to their potential. And starting Russell Westbrook is not giving the Clippers their best chance of winning. I don't know if you agree, but I feel like you should.
Is it fair to say you don't like the move they made with picking him up?
I actually like the move because I think they do need a guard. They
So
weren't
you think they should start
Reggie
Bones?
Jackson.
Should
they
Bones
weren't
start?
getting it from Paul Wall, John Wall. They missed somebody who would force the pace but was still inclined to pass first.
What about so you think Bones should start? Who should start at the point guard is what I'm asking.
I had no problem with them starting Terrence Mann.
Okay.
Terrence Mann was locking people up. He was hitting threes.
So you got another defender and another guy that can just facilitate the offense.
I get you. They're not going to leave. They're not leaving him alone. Like did you see the game against the Warriors where Draymond was literally hanging out in the paint, and he said after the game, it's not even that Westbrook can't shoot, it's because we're playing mind games with him throughout the course of the game, making him believe he has to shoot it because we're not honoring his jump shot. He is killing the spacing, killing the usefulness of Kawhi and Paul George. I don't get it. I don't get it.
I don't disagree with you. I do think they made some really good moves at the deadline. They picked up some really good pieces. I do think they had a good flow before the deadline. So even before the changes, I thought they were good. But picking up Mason Plumlee, great. Eric Gordon, I think he's still similar. Him and Norm, I think, are very similar players. But you got another one of them, depending on if Norm is in or out, give you some more depth, right? You lost some shooting with getting away Luke Kennard. But Eric Gordon gives you another playmaker. Russ is another playmaker as well. Bones, another playmaker. So you have a bunch of playmakers. So I think it is hard when you have a bunch of those in the mix to figure out who's starting, who's not. So yes, I do think that they were better. I wouldn't say better off, but I thought more of a contender before the deadline, even though they picked up some really good pieces. I just think the chemistry of it is weird for them now. I think they got better talent-wise. They got more talent for sure in the team, but I don't think it meshes well as it should. I think the chemistry matters, man. And I don't think it's just that. Bones is there, but he's barely playing. I don't think it's just Russ starting. I just think there's too many of the same type of player there now. When all you need to surround yourself with Kawhi and PG is shooters and some defenders. Even Marcus Morris Sr., I feel like he is not even able to play up his potential because of so many other guys are there. There's so many pieces they have.
Covington's over there.
They have so many guys over there, so many pieces, you can't even use them. But yeah, I do think I want to say they fell out of contention, but I think that it's going to take them a while because when you have that type of, I guess those type of energies,
influx.
Yeah, and that short, you have 20 games to figure it out. I think it's going to take you a whole nother. It took Russ was playing pretty well in LA for some time, for spurts, and it took him a year and a half, like a year to figure it out, a year and a half. So when they started bringing him off the bench, I think it's going to take this group some time, if they ever do. Sometimes it doesn't work out that way, but to figure out that group and to mesh when you have expiring, I don't think they're going to be able to do it in time to have that flow that they had before the deadline by playoffs and be playing that basketball that they were playing before the deadline.
I don't get it. I mean, I understand why you felt that you needed Westbrook because they don't have a pure point guard, but I don't think it's a bad thing they put him on the roster.
Yeah,
I just think
not.
I just think it's a misstep to all of a sudden crown him the starter and then put your superstars
100%,
in a position where now they don't the spacing that they were able to operate with is gone.
They got they felt they got a really good player for a cheap price in the buyout market. And that's what a lot of teams have done. It's a trendy thing. It's like, I got to start.
The value just because it's a value pickup doesn't mean it's the right pickup.
100%. I agree. But he's not the only person that's in the buyout market that is starting. Obviously, other teams have been more successful. We've seen Chicago with Pat Bev, who has won some games.
He's helped them.
They may not have won games in Miami, but he's been in Miami playing some good minutes in Miami.
Now he hasn't helped them. He hasn't helped them.
He's been playing, but they're also injured.
The defensive efficiency for the Chicago Bulls since they picked up Patrick Beverley has jumped up. So But Kevin Love, what's been wrong with the Miami Heat? They weren't scoring up until last weekend. They were with Kevin Love in the lineup. They were still averaging under 100 points a game with Kevin Love in those games with him in the lineup. So he really hasn't been helping.
Maybe, but a big part of that is their health issues. And
well, for sure, Lowry's
a lot of injuries,
going to happen with
and
Kyle
the fact
Lowry.
that they're not really playing defense like they were, and they're not getting out and running like they used to. So they're not scoring, but they have a lot of injuries, a lot of health issues. So, but I said my point is, a lot of guys in the buyout market have been thrown into the fire and been able to make an impact or get into the lineup without. I guess I don't think it's Miami wasn't doing greatly before Kevin got there, so I don't think it's something that he's brought them down.
Yeah,
I think
I understand what you're saying.
Able to implement these guys in the system right away without having to be like, oh, we're taking steps back, So
outside of the Clippers, who I think took a step back by just adding a whole new, very difficult to fit element into their team, I don't get it. Okay, I think we got to go. Enough talk. Hopefully, this whole Ja Morant thing ends up with we see the light at the end of the tunnel a lot sooner than later. Looking forward to watching the Cavaliers. Donovan Mitchell, I swear, bro. I think we talked about it earlier this year when he was on when you were on the Grizzlies. The leap that he's taken with his 3-point shot, I think it enables him to get to that other level. Like if you looked at like the stars in the NBA, like there's the Giannis's, there's the Embiids, and you always felt like Donovan was on the level below those guys, those big two-way guard or two-way forward type of guys. But there's a reason why Steph, and there's a reason why people can kind of consider Dame in that tier one, because it's the 3-point shot, the threat of the 3-point shot, the number of 3-point attempts that Donovan now feels comfortable putting up, along with his ability to attack the rack. I think he's on to something. I think his 3-point shooting has truly elevated his ceiling. I thought he I wouldn't say I was a hater, but I was like, he could only go X amount far.
I think a lot of us doubted him. We didn't see him getting to this because
3-point shot changes everything.
As efficient when he first came into the league. He's gotten a lot better each year. He studies film. He wants to be great, and the kid has a lot of tools, and he's no dummy. He knows that as I get older, I'm not gonna be able to just jump and dunk over people my whole career. So I got to develop in between game, floaters, finish off the glass, 3-point shot. So if he wants to be great for a long time, he has to be able to do those things, and he's I'm gonna say perfected them, but he's worked on a lot of those things and got a lot better at them. He's only getting better because he's going to take even steps further because of the way he attacks the process of it. And I see him in the gym. I see him watching film. He loves it. And it's impressive to see him over the years. Obviously he grew up playing against and with my younger brother and knows my family well, which is kind of crazy and dope at the same time. So I've always been a fan, but I've grown to be more of a fan as the years have gone on, and more of a believer that this kid can take it to the next level and bring an organization to another level. Like Cleveland, I think, they were solid, they were good, but I think he's definitely bringing them to another level with what he brings to the table. And I think if he stays and they keep this group around for a while, I could see them being a forceful team in the East for some years to come.
The almighty 3-point shot. He's jumped. At one point, he was shooting at 41% this year, which was like 30, and he was 36% last year. I don't know where he is now, but you make a couple percentage points jumps with that has much more threes that he's taking. It truly it opens him up to that Dame Lillard type of conversation where you won't be surprised if he had like a 45-point playoff game.
Well, that's how you score 71. It's not easy to score 71, man, unless you can shoot that ball. So he's obviously doing something right.
For sure. All right. See you guys next Wednesday. More updates and more looking ahead to the playoffs. Danny, I'm like excited, but I'm also kind of like, I wouldn't say nervous, but like it's almost coming to an end. Like it's like a good time, but like also like
it's like when you're watching your last couple episodes of your favorite show, you're like, damn, this is the last season. And there's only like 3 episodes left. You're excited about it, but you're like, it's almost over. I get you, man.
That's exactly how it's feeling.
I'm the same. So I'm looking forward to it, excited about it, but obviously I want more season to be left so I can play more, hopefully get opportunity to play more. But it is what it is. Not all good things last forever. But
yeah, I do like how when I've been watching all minutes of Cleveland Cavalier games, and I do like when you do get out there, your ass is ready to shoot.
Oh, I'm getting active, kid. I'm trying to stay warm on that sideline, ride the bike, do what I can. There's nothing to prepare you for that, but I'm trying to stay locked in the game and hopefully I get some opportunity. But stay on the bike, warming up, keeping the knee warm, and let that thing fly when you got it. But
yeah. And I still think you are averaging 0.8 steals per 36. So
I I almost had another one last game. I dropped one. I could have got 2 last game. I dropped a steal. But we got to keep that up, man.
Yeah.
Anyways, we'll see you guys next week, right? We'll be back. Read, rate, subscribe, review. Appreciate the time. Appreciate y'all listening in. Big shout out to Brandon Clarke. Prayers for him. Supporting Ja Morant. He was also a member of a guest on our show. So, we have nothing but love and support for him and his family in Memphis. But, even though we love them and supporting them, we're Cavaliers now. So we're looking forward to what we can do on the Cleveland floor. So, Cleveland fans, stay tuned. Until next time, y'all. Peace.